I'm just gonna show off that I have this. I did not feel like wearing it today, but I am. Oh shit! But I am a real Barbie fan.
Oh, I love that.
Let it be
I'm
known.
currently in my rental space, but if you looked in my closet, you'd see that it's a fucking mess, just like the Barbie franchise.
I mean,
Yo,
basically, Bhavani and I over the past 5, 6 months.
The pandemic's lasted 6 months, so we've been doing this for 6 months.
Oh, there you go. Have been watching the Barbie movies, not in chronological order, just in the order that feels right, just based off the vibes. But today we're going to be quickly reviewing all of them in chronological order and giving them all a rating out of 10. Also, we're only going to be covering the pre-hiatus movies. So that's basically from like 2001 to like 2017-ish. Basically, we're cutting it off right after Dolphin Magic and before Princess Adventure. We do need to, okay, we're not gonna, this is not part of our like canonical review of the movies, but we do need to talk about how in Princess Adventure, the princess character has a coronation and she wears a seafoam green chiffon skirt with a tank top that is a matching seafoam green that says love, love, love.
She really said, I may be a princess, but we only got one star. It's Aeropostale.
For real. Disgraceful.
It is disgusting.
Let's get started then. The first ever 3D Barbie movie, Barbie and the Nutcracker 2001. You do not like this movie as much as I do.
The bitch does nothing. Listen, I loved the Nutcracker as a kid because Clara did everything I wanted to do as a grown up. Be pretty, attract hot block man, and get rewarded for absolutely nothing. And that's exactly what she does. Her whole shtick, being gifted the idea of becoming the sugar plum princess, is being brave, being kind, and being something. I think it might just be blonde. And that's all she has going for her, is being blonde. Let's be real. The bravest thing that she did was let those fairies carry her fat ass from the island to the kingdom where the rat is probably going to rule the rest of like this world a little bit better.
Everything that you've just said is why I like the movie. Because she gets rewarded for doing nothing, which is a very great fantasy of mine. And also being carried. Okay, full disclosure, this is the only Barbie movie that I ever watched as a kid. Every other Barbie movie I have seen for the first time in the past 6 months. So this was just like such a trip of like, I remember watching her being carried by those fairies on that like branchy swing across the ocean. And I was like, who wouldn't want to be her? Yes. Yes. My only real critique of this movie is that the like dancing that happens in the climax is far too long. It goes on for like 12 minutes. Wait, what did you give Nutcracker out of 10?
Oh my god, Nutcracker got like a whole ass 3. Listen, listen. Be brave, be kind, be blonde.
Let's move on to Barbie as Rapunzel from 2002.
Miss Rapunzel, I gave her a 5 out of 10. She was like smack dab in the middle. Mind you, I didn't rank them like 1 to 10. I just gave them a rating out of 10. There are nuances within my rankings, just know that. But I gave her a 5 out of 10 because I think she's just like a mid-tier Barbara movie. I loved that, she got the long hair and then that was it. That was her defining personality trait. She didn't do anything with the long hair. There wasn't any climbing. She was an artiste. I loved that, but I hated the purple dragon.
It's funny that you say that because I gave this movie an insufferable dragon sidekick out of 10. Yeah, I think I agree with you. Like her traveling through the walls, through her paintings was cool. The villain was cool, but everything else was uncool.
Like, the villain kidnapped this infant child because her boyfriend broke up with her.
Petty. I loved it.
I live for it, but I'm like, girl, there could have been better ways. Like broken beer bottles on the doorstep.
Barbie of Swan Lake, 2003. If I may go first in this one, I gave it an Odile laugh out of 10 because she carried me through this experience.
Anytime.
You do it so
It is
much
a
better.
dolphin screech. I'm telling you. I gave it a 3 only because Odette carries the not Odette. What's her name?
Odile.
Odile carries the movie with her lines. She gave me like Paris Hilton, London Tipton, wrapped into
But
one.
goth?
All that, but goth. And let's be real, if she was on TikTok, bitches would eat her up in
girl
the
of
best
the fucking
way
century.
possible. Oh yeah. And what would Barbara be doing?
She'd be on straight TikTok doing like dances with her like boyfriend who doesn't clean up after himself.
He doesn't wipe his butt.
Skid marks.
Me.
Barbie as the Princess and the Pauper, the classic of 2004. Take it away.
Oh, baby, I gave her an 8. I gave her an 8 because this was the first Barbie movie that we watched. Just to preface, we kicked this off the first thing, and I was like, you know what, TikTok's been telling me to watch Barbie and the Princess and the Pauper, so I'm going to. I'm going to watch it with my good friend Blake Smith. Oh my God. The jokes that came out of it, the laughs, the memes, the vibes, the song, the dance, the whole 9 yards. It is just so fucking fun and so fucking funny that like these two white bitches just look alike because that's just how high school is.
They're completely unrelated!
They're not related at all. And you think they're going to be related because they look the same, but they're like, oh my God, no, we're just like white girls who are 16 and they all look the same. So they just switch a wig. And Princess gets to play as a poor person for the day, while poor person gets to play as, oh my God, I can eat a whole meal today.
For me, I could not hope to give Princess and the Pauper that highest score because its silence on wealth disparity and class relations is deafening. And also, after rich blonde Barbie gets married at the end of the movie, she rides away from her own castle. And it's really confusing.
Okay, the fact that they both ride away from the castle was like very astounding to me. It killed me because we were like, where the fuck is she going? And I was talking to my mom about this, and I completely forgot that honeymoons exist.
Oh.
She just like went on a trip to some bumfuck nowhere.
But that wasn't clear.
It wasn't. They just rode away after they got married. But I was like, shouldn't there be a reception?
2005, Barbie Fairytopia 1.
Okay.
I hate Bibble. Let it be known that every time Bibble is on screen, and especially every time he speaks, a little piece of my soul passes on.
Listen, I loved the fact that this was a girl without wings and she was walking in this world that like clearly does not cater to people who have wings, and she shows that anyone can do it and you shouldn't have to rely on your wings. And then she's rewarded with the one thing that she has been needing or wanting to take part in society to the fullest, which is wings. And I thought that was nice.
2005 as well, Barbie and the Magic of Pegasus. Question.
Yes.
If your daughter turned into a pink horse, would you just tell your other daughter that she didn't have a sibling and also then never see your horse daughter ever again? Real question.
I'm just saying that I think it's really fucking funny that they went like, what, 16 to 8? No, she turns 18. Yeah. 18 years of this girl being raised with that completely overprotective over their daughter and not like explaining why. The entire kingdom knows about this girl. They know about her older sister and they're like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
I refuse to see it.
I do not recall.
2006, Barbie Fairytopia Mermaidia. the sequel to Barbie Fairytopia.
Oh my god, baby.
I
8.
hated this movie.
I gave it an 8 out of 10 fishtails. I
Confusing.
love it. I love it. We meet a character who, for the first time, like, isn't the villain and does not like Barbara. It's like there's feelings that were tied up in that, but then they talked it out. And it tells you that, like, if you talk things out, you, like, understand people a little bit better and you won't grow to hate them or be as bitter. I love the aesthetic of Mermaidia. Like, Fairytopia was very, like, flowery, pinkish. Mermaidia was, like, this deep blue, this purple, and then you go into the cave with the berries.
What you said about those dynamics between Barbie and the Blue Mermaid, whose name escapes me, it's there. You're not wrong for perceiving it as, like, an interesting thing. However, for me, it was completely overshadowed by Bilbo eating a berry and getting a sexy voice. And Alina's just like, it's Alina, right? Yeah, Alina's like, Bibble? What? What does that mean?
Delicious.
Bibble?
Well, hello, Barry. Don't you look lovely today?
What is it? There's attraction. I didn't like that. I didn't like Bibble being sexy, and I didn't like Alina being into it. And then the Blue Mermaid, and then Alina's like, Blue Mermaid, how long is this gonna last? And the Blue Mermaid's like, not long enough. What the hell? The Barbie Diaries, 2006.
I gave it like 8 magical charms that can change the future out of 10. Listen to me, because the animation was so shit, but the dialogue was so fucking funny, and it was everything that a high school kid would say.
I gotta say, it's an entertaining movie, and it's like very unique amongst the Barbie cinematic universe, so it gets points for that. It also gets points for Barbie dancing with Todd and her monologue being like, and then I realized, and she just makes this face for like 5 minutes.
As graduates of high school, you start realizing how stupid these concepts of high school are. Like the grass thing where she's like, that's where all the popular
Oh my
people
God.
sit. And I'm like, bitch, that's just grass. Like, you can sit there, who's gonna stop you?
She's like, because when she's like makes friends with Raquel's two like popular friends, and she's like, I can sit there, and they're like, it's just grass. Girl. Oh, 2006, another iconic movie, Barbie and the 12 Dancing Princesses. A movie I had heard a lot about, but like just through osmosis, but had never seen until this first viewing with you. And I gotta say, it's one of the better ones. Yeah, it had a good villain. It had like really interesting magic where they had to like dance properly, like decode the floor to like get into this pocket dimension where they could like dance to their heart's content. I didn't need an explanation. It was just lovely and fun. What I did find really hard to ignore, though, was how there were just like 3 character models that they used across the 12 sisters.
This fucking monkey. This monkey. Do you remember the monkey? The monkey that this woman had, the villain had. First of all, love the villain. Definitely queer-coded. Got the drag queen like eyebrows that are all the way up here. Hair to high hell. Big poofy skirt. Cinched waist. Ran this like gray
The monkey.
But the monkey, the silver monkey. Oh my God, he grinds my gears.
If there's talking animals, it's probably not going to be a good Barbie movie. If they don't talk, it's a little bit more bearable.
Oh my God, yeah.
My anaconda don't want none unless you got buns, hun.
Barbie Fairytopia, Magic of the Rainbow from 2007, the last of Alina's adventures. I don't really remember much of it. I do remember there being a character named Dizzle, which is just Bibble, but Bibbofication Bibble. Bibbofication Bibble. Sexy, curvy, pink lipstick. What? I didn't like it. Because we learned that, there's a chronology of like Bibble's evolution throughout these 3 movies, the 3 Fairytopia movies, right? We are introduced to him and we know he's terrible. We learn that he has a sex drive. He gets a character to have sex with.
That's just my life.
What part?
All of it. I love that Alita is the subject of bullying for the first.
Yeah, she deserved
Like,
it.
oh my god, I loved that. I loved that like the characters did not give a shit about
No.
her and what she did. What I did not like was how fucking ugly they turned her wings. Like for me as a kid, that was my biggest point of contention was that I hated her wings. I loved the Mermaidia wings. They were so beautiful. They had like a little design and it was monochromatic. It fit with her thing because her whole shtick was that like, oh, if she has like the blue power but she's pink, whoa, what? I love this monochromatic like feature look thing that a lot of the fairies had in the Fairytopia world, and then they vomited on it.
Barbie as the Island Princess from 2007. One of the best ones.
Let's give Barbara PTSD.
My ranking was Barbie has PTSD out of 10.
Yes,
Which isn't a joke. She literally has like
she fully
trauma.
forgets her whole. Oh, I love when people have trauma.
Yeah, so I actually thought this was a really, really good movie because Barbie had nuance of having this like complex backstory and she could talk to animals and no one else really could. So she had like a bit of like social issues involving that. I have to say though, the movie would have been much better if Tika wasn't there.
I agree. I love the songs. The songs slap so hard. Like the
On
harmony.
my island, there's something. Da, 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 da.
And then the harmony with when they're on the boat, and then it's sung again with the mom, and it was just like,
Yeah, I feel it. For me,
Oh,
the
I
moment that
lived
this
for it.
movie was like elevated beyond the other ones that we've seen is that when she's like in the water, I think she goes overboard or something. And there's just that flash where it shows like it's kind of like sepia colored and it's like her like childhood memory coming back. That was like this, like that single moment was like, oh,
honestly surprised it wasn't nominated for an Oscar for that scene alone. I'm sorry. You could compare Marriage Story and whatever scene it was, like people that with a failing marriage, and compare it to Barbie as the island princess in the scene. Barbie as the island princess in that scene would win 5 times over. I don't give a shit if a boy can punch a hole in a wall. Like if I need to see that, I would just go to my local frat house.
My anaconda don't want none unless you got buns, hun.
Barbie Mariposa. So I gotta say, I really like this one for 3 reasons, and I will list them now. Bibble's barely in it, immediately leagues above all the other Fairytopia movies. Mariposa's voice, ASMR, my raspy queen, we love. Number 3, you are introduced to these this like pink and purple fairy, and they're kind of hoity-toity, very rich, but then they give them layers while they're on their journey with Mariposa. It's like, oh, they're humanized. Oh, they have these issues and these flaws, and they're reconciling with them. I was like, the character writing is very quenching my famishedness.
I loved her raspy. The rasp was so good. It was like, oh, I could just rub it on my face as an exfoliating scrub and then just cleanse with it and then go to bed with a layer of it, just as cream and moisturizer. And then I'd wake up and I'd have the perfect complexion. It was just everything I needed and more.
One of my I don't know if it's like my favorite. It's not actually super high up on my like ranking, but I like holds a new special place in my heart. 2008's Barbie and the Diamond Castle.
It does for me too. Oh my god, let's discuss.
I gave it a 7 out of 10 because it's just like a really solid Barbie movie. It like hits a lot of the right notes. Unfortunately, there are dogs that dance on their hind legs and have stairs that they have no souls. Their body parts clip into each other. So it kind of knocked it down by like 3 whole points for me, but 7 out of 10 nonetheless.
Yeah, I gave it an 8 out of 10 because they are lesbians. And I wanted them to.
I thought you meant the dogs. Who's to say? You have the mind of a mastermind.
I love that the guys were actually useless and their only personality trait was playing the folk electric guitar. Lived for that. And that they took everything in stride. They're like, oh, you're saving this bitch that's stuck in a mirror? Okay. You're too hot, so I'm not going to complain. And they just follow them around and they're like, we'll give you a ride because you're hot. And they're like, great. We're also going to fight a witch. And they were like, okay, cool. You're hot. I don't care. Yeah, so 8 lesbians out of 10.
My anaconda don't want none unless you got buns, hun.
2008's Barbie in a Christmas Carol. 3 out of 10. I'm not a huge fan of Barbie movies that are just slightly altered retellings of pre-existing stories. So I'm a little biased in that sense. But also, like, the choices were so confusing. Like, having Barbie be a horrible person. And I know that's like the Scrooge story, but it was just like weird. I was like, that's so like not Barbie.
I gave it a 5. It wasn't terrible to me, but it wasn't like jaw-dropping. I was like, okay, this is a retelling of A Christmas Carol, but it's Barbara, and I'm okay with that. And I did kind of like the little drop and hint that like whoever Scrooge girl was actually Barbara's like great whatever grandmother, which kind of gives me the idea that like being a go-getter and being hardworking is hereditary. And I like that. I like that a lot.
You think being blonde is hereditary too?
No, I think that's a choice.
That makes more sense. Thank you for clarifying.
You're welcome.
Oh, Barbie Thumbelina, 2009.
Oh, Barbie Thumbelina.
My second favorite Barbie movie.
My third.
It's just, I have to tell you, my ranking, capitalism critique out of 10. It was like it was tackling so many serious messages: environmentalism, capitalism, the girl who Thumbelina like hangs out with, the human girl. She has such an arc of being like a rich, spoiled brat and then learning to care for others and stick up for herself and stick up for the people she cares about. And it was so satisfying to watch.
But there are layers. And I love that like this girl learns that material goods don't equal affection. And it also shows that what happens to a kid when they're spoiled and taught that material goods make you a better person, and they fall prey to the consumerist behaviors, and that's like who they become. Picture the blonde girl that the main character is friends with, who is insufferable and makes me want to punch a wall.
Yeah, she's like, oh my god, do you remember that throwaway line where she's like, yeah, my dad just bought an island, but we had to like drive out the native there were like
people on it, so he kicked them out. That was definitely a joke for the adults.
Oh, by the way, my parents bought me an island today.
Your own island?
Pretty much. I mean, there's some random people doing whatever on it, but my parents paid to name it after me. So if I want to go take it over one day, I can.
Like, she fully colonized an island because, like, she could.
She could. That's like why this movie is so good, is because it's fun, it's like lighthearted enough, but it has some real character growth, and it has these like little bits of nuance that really go a long way.
Yeah. I gave it, what did I give you? I gave it like fully 9 flower fields about to be bulldozed out of 10.
I love that. It's what she deserves.
Capitalism so well. Oh, I think it radicalized me. It definitely radicalized me.
My anaconda don't want none unless you got buns, hun.
2009, Barbie and the Three Musketeers. You know, in Mulan, like the original animated Disney one, not the new one, how when she is in her like feminine attire, she's not Ping anymore. She's fighting the Huns or whatever the general guy's name is. And she has her fan and she uses it to like turn his sword against him. That is like Barbie and the Three Musketeers embodied, where they are consistently using like how people underestimate them as women and then using their skills as women to like protect, well, unfortunately they're using their skills to protect the patriarchy. But
that's why I knocked it down 2 points.
but they're also fighting against men, like mostly men throughout the whole movie. And it's just so satisfying. And the movie's so well paced and all the characters are pretty interesting. It's just like one of the ones where I felt like Barbie was like the most in control. And I really liked that.
Oh my God. Yeah. I loved that Barbara had this Charlie's Angels-esque movie that took place in the 18th century. And they were taught, instead of Charlie, you had like Theodora, this old grand lady. I don't know if her name's Theodora.
Yes.
But like she actually didn't have like a bad back and she just faked it for the entire time. I loved that. And I love that she was just like one of the workers. Like, could you imagine you start your first day on the job, someone in the same position as you, old as hell, probably on welfare. It's just like not in the best condition. And then she like stands up, perfect back, and she's like, let me show you something. And she just shows you weapons.
My anaconda don't want none unless you got buns, hun.
Barbie in a Mermaid Tale. We're in the 2010s now.
Oh yeah. I gave it a 7. Oh my
Really?
God. I gave it a 7 because it was good. I loved it. I loved how it was like this weird biracial metaphor. It was like,
Oh, yeah.
it was like, you have to be a human. Like, I want to be a human. I've lived with humans all my life. You can't tell me I'm a mermaid. I refuse to accept this one half of me. And the mermaids are like, oh my God, you can't be a mermaid. Like, you're human. Or like, you're a mermaid. You can't be a human. What are you talking about? And in the end, she's like, I'm both. I'm biracial.
I do have to say, though, the pacing in the movie was a little weird. It took like 50 minutes for it to really start having a plot because it had to do so much background work with like, this is Barbie. She's a surfer. Oh, she doesn't know if she wants to believe this pink dolphin. Oh, maybe she will be a mermaid. Okay, here she is journeying to the mermaid place. Oh, she has to blend in here. She has to find a tail, yada, yada, yada. And I was like, okay, like, let's get to the actual story, please. Barbie in a Mermaid Tale, I gave it a mermilf out of 10 because Barbie's mom had a great design.
I gave it like 7 mermaid mommy milky titties out of 10.
Barbie, a Fashion Fairy Tale 2010.
I gave it a 4. I'm not even going to make fun of it. I gave it a 4. Here we get to see Barbara as Barbie, an actress who plays in this movie. It's a peek into this real world that exists, not just separate from the movies, but a part of it that's connected. So it makes you believe that Barbie in the blank is Barbie as an actress in this world. So
No, here's where it gets twisted.
Because there are fairies.
Because there are effing pixies.
They have pixies
And
that throw sparkles on things.
they're living bedazzlers. For a movie called A Fashion Fairy Tale, the fashions in this movie leave a lot to be desired.
They're so fucking disgusting. There's something with Barbara around this time where they were like, instead of a gown, instead of like, you know, a normal silhouette, we're going to give her tears. We're going to make her look like a layered cake, but a child kept biting into it at different points. And then they mix patterns and they're like, this is design. And it is disgusting. That's what that is. It's not design.
I didn't really care for this movie a whole lot, so I gotta give it like several ugly bedazzled dresses out of 10.
I gave it 4 unfortunate Kens covered in pig shit out of 10.
Me.
Oh my god, 2011's Barbie: A Fairy Secret.
So Barbara is still an actress and she's working hard, you know? She's got designers who are designing her dresses, and fairies exist in this world. And not only do they discreetly exist, they fully kidnap Ken in broad daylight outside
a diner.
And then Raquel and Barbie become friends.
They get
friends.
pride flag wings.
They get pride flag wings. They fully get like...
The power of their bond gives them pride flag wings.
Which they end the movie with the two fairies doing that exact thing. It's just so fucking campy. I loved every second of it. I couldn't stop smiling, laughing, cracking up, and that's why I gave it 9 pride wings out of 10.
My anaconda don't want none unless you got buns, hun.
2011's Barbie Princess Charm School.
Child,
Better than Harry Potter, but still not good.
She doesn't have a choice whether or not to go to Princess Charm School. She gets fully kidnapped, and there is only like 2 security guards that work in this entire school. Like, for a school that is greatly advertised, so much so that they do a raffle every year, they have no security systems. They have no
cameras.
Security personnel. I wish they had one of the two, because the tomfoolery that gets up in the school is criminal. Especially considering you're training princesses, which are essentially mayors when you graduate. Like, you get given a city. We saw the Princess of Philadelphia get crowned.
Well, this is the confusing thing, is it's like, how many miniature monarchies are there? And how does this school keep running? Like, is a new monarch declared every year? Like, well, how does this work? There was so much that didn't make sense. Like, where did the pixies come from? Why was everyone just okay with magic suddenly? Are princesses the only people allowed to use magic?
Where are the governors? Where are the prime ministers?
There was so much that I was like, what is this world?
I gave it a surprisingly high ranking, and you can't yell at me for that. I gave it a 6 security personnels out of 10 because I wish they had at least 6. At least 6.
It would have helped. It would have helped a little
Maybe
bit.
to cover each facet of the school. 1 underground, 2 to the sides, 2 to the other sides, 1 on top.
This is giving me a headache.
A lot of Barbara's universe gives me a headache.
Barbie: A Perfect Christmas. I'm going to tell you my ranking right off the bat. It's, if Chelsea had died alone, I would have been okay with it out of 10.
I hate this fucking movie. All of them singing this like montage, moment, this musical opening number, and they're all terrible. Like, they make Kids Bop look like a Celine Dion album. It is unfortunate. It is unfortunate, and their character models are so bad. Specifically, Chelsea's. Oh my god, can you
Her blank stare.
please put a picture of her right now for at least 5 seconds. Audience, I want you to stare at her. I want you to gaze into her soul and think, yeah, no, I would like to protect this child, because you're going to lie to yourself. You don't want to protect this child. You want to leave her in the snow to die. You want her to die. And you're not the only one. Barbara's sisters, all of Chelsea's sisters, want her to die.
Let's talk about that, because the whole movie, literally all 3 of them are like, Chelsea, you're horrible. Chelsea, we fucking hate you, and you're annoying, and you're unwanted, and you're undesirable, and you don't deserve love. And then she runs away, and they find her in that cabin, and they're like, Chelsea, we love you. Chelsea, you're our sister. And I'm like, you don't care about her at all.
Me.
2012's Barbie and a Mermaid Tale 2. 5 out of 10. I don't really have a lot to say here. It was more of Barbie and a Mermaid Tale. RuPaul was there as a fish, and that was the most notable thing.
Yeah, genuinely. I gave it like a 6 out of 10 only because I really couldn't say much about it. I just knew that it was better than Barbie and A Christmas Carol. I did like that Barbie had a swimming competitor, and they like completely disregard like the dynamics between the two are just weird, and then they get weirder, and then
she's
she like
Australian.
Something. She's Australian. She's also stupid. Remember when she was like, Barbie, I'll give you back your bracelet, and fully knowing, or like the necklace, fully knowing that when you take it off, you will not get a tail and be able to breathe underwater. And she is fully like 30 feet underwater. 30 feet underwater. What are you thinking? What
Her
are you
problems begin when a fish talks to her and she listens. 2012's Barbie the Princess and the Pop Star. A
retelling?
modern retelling of Princess and the Pauper, but this time it actually addresses the wealth disparity. And I really appreciated that. The music sucked. The music was not good.
So bad.
But at least it was like, oh, but like there's issues with like rich people and like power. And I was like, at least you talked about it. Princess and the Pauper could never.
What definitely boggled my fucking noggin was that there was just a secret garden in one of the walls, and it had this rose bush that controlled the entire kingdom's ecosystem. So the minute you uprooted it, all the vegetation in this local area, the city, would just die.
2013's Barbie in the Pink Shoes. In this movie, Barbie is a dancer and she like loses her shoes or something, and the costume designer for the ballet company like gives her some pink shoes. She puts them on, she's transported to an alternate world. At the end of the movie, Barbie gives the shoes back to the costume designer. And after Barbie leaves the room, the last scene in the movie is the costume designer opening a closet where there's dozens of other pink shoes, and she puts Barbie's pink shoes away and closes the door. Does this mean that she's like, for years, has been trapping women in an alternate dimension in an attempt to help them solve their emotional problems? How fucked up is that?
I greatly dislike this movie because they teach girls that you should disrespect your dance teacher. You should ignore the fact that your choreographer is a trained professional and that they have written the choreography a certain way to highlight certain aspects of your skill set. But it rewards Barbara for all of the terrible behavior in this dance company, puts the dance company at risk so many times. And as someone who spent 10 years being yelled at by dance teachers and choreographers, it just, it eats away at my soul. I've never wanted to punch that Barbara so much in my entire life.
Yeah, I sort of agree with you. It could have been like Coraline meets Black Swan, but instead it was just a bad message for children, so.
Me.
The last Fairytopia movie, Barbie Mariposa and the Fairy Princess from 2013. Different voice actress for Mariposa, so I didn't like it all that much, and I also didn't really pay attention. Barbie movies aren't always like the most gripping stories ever for adult viewers, but this one in particular, I was like, wow, I really actively don't care and actively don't want to watch it.
I was fully checking like Twitter while that was happening, and I remember my Twitter feed more than I remember the movie. I will not lie.
Me.
Oh God, Barbie and her sisters in a ponytail.
They queer code that boy so hard.
He's like, I love colors.
It is
Bow
borderline
ties.
a stereotype. Is it not Chelsea again who like takes out the horse that she like ruins? She ruins the whole shtick. She's like, I want to ride the big horse, and then the big horse gets spooked. And then all the horses get out, and it's all her fault because Chelsea's the worst.
Me.
Finally, back to a good movie, Barbie the Pearl Princess. I loved it. It was so fun. It was like decently well paced. You know how in A Mermaid Tale, it was like so much backstory and then the plot was like 30 seconds, so it was really weird. This sort of did that, except the backstory was interesting enough to carry me through to where the actual story started happening. Femboy Fergus.
Femboy Fergus!
Icon.
Honestly, I love the femboy representation. Please put a picture of him with his like coconut haircut, and then after he got his coconut haircut, like, oh my God, I loved it. I loved him. He was so passionate about plants, and he was so comfortable in his femininity, and I just, oy. Yeah, I gave it 8 femboy Ferguses out of 10.
Basically same.
My anaconda don't want none unless you got buns, hun.
Oh, fuck. Okay, I don't even want to talk about this one. Barbie and the Secret Door. Eye strain galore. They had a character, the antagonist was named Marusha, which sounds like Marluxia from Kingdom Hearts, so that was something I had to grapple with the whole time. Just boring nonsense that I hated.
You're Here, the song, was so bad.
You're here. Yeah, where it like did this weird switch up. It was like a ballad, but then it was a pop song, and I was like, this is not working.
My luck's gonna change. 'Cause you're here, all of our problems disappear.
And then it went back to a ballad and wasn't good. And Marusha came, and I was like, "Ooh, who's Marusha?" Marusha was just a toddler, and like
She was fun as a villain because I hated her, but I also hated the whole movie, so it didn't
feel like-
matter.
it felt like a Dr. Seuss book and a Barbie movie, and Inception became one because
And it didn't work.
Me.
Oh, another not so great one. Barbie Princess Power 2015.
oh my god, can I take the reins on this one?
It's all you, babes.
Oh my god. You know how we mentioned that there are movies we don't want our kids to watch? This is one of them. I swear to God, if you showed any kid this movie, they would turn into a bitch immediately. They would grow up. They wouldn't even grow up. They would immediately become your bullies. They would become your high school bullies.
fucking bullies. She's only interested in being like an influencer, so she doesn't actually care about saving people at all.
And it's not until like another girl comes in and she's got powers that Barbie's like, fuck you, that's my job.
What is it, Princess Power? 1 out of 10.
Me.
Okay, 2015's Barbie and Rock and Royals. Camp Rock, but
Rock.
worse.
Me.
Barbie and her sisters in the Great Pumpy Adventure. I gave this movie a leading your sisters into a dangerous cave where they could potentially die out of 10. Wow, this movie it felt so long, and it also felt like nothing happened really.
Nothing happened until like the last 15 minutes where it stopped becoming Barbie and her sisters in the Great Puppy Adventure and started becoming Journey to the Center of the Earth.
Like, right?
Me.
Barbie Spy Squad of 2016. This one is just, it's like good. It's good as far as Barbie movies go. Like, I could rewatch it if I wanted to. Laszlo, though.
Laszlo.
He was simping out for Barbie's friend so hard, and I loved it.
I lived for it.
It just felt like a long episode of Totally Spies. It was like on that level.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved every second of it. I loved Laszlo in this movie, and that's why it's so high up on my list.
Next up, between Bhavani and me, we have formed a consensus that this is the best Barbie movie, and that's Barbie Starlight Adventure of 2016.
Oh my god, Barbie Starlight Adventure is what the newest Star Wars trilogy wishes it could have been.
Full stop, period.
And listen,
I mean, I could talk about this movie forever because I don't only think it's a good or like the best Barbie movie. I think it's a genuinely good movie.
period.
But I
More?
want to summarize it in as quickly as I can, which is like the visuals, the characters, and how diverse they are, the growth they go through, the fact that the villain is like nuanced and interesting, the magical girl elements that kind of pop in and out, her mysterious pink hair that seems to come in and out of existence depending on how self-actualized she is, seemingly.
Which is so good because usually it's like your hair is pink and it's like, oh, it's because I jumped in the water and I'm a mermaid. No, she's just like, I don't know why. My hair is just pink. And I loved that. It was a good movie altogether. Like, I loved it. It was so beautifully animated. Oh my God, thinking about those night skies,
The cityscapes, like,
the lore in the beginning.
oh
So
yeah.
it gives you that preface. I was thrown. I was like, that is that is not the Barbie movie I'm used to. But the lore was everything. It was so good. I gave it 10 Starlight Adventures out of 10.
Oh, following the best Barbie movie is the worst Barbie movie. Barbie and her sisters in a puppy chase. 0 out of 10 for me. Full, like, no jokes. This movie is insufferable. Like, the reason they're on this island is to get Chelsea to her dance recital, and they continually dismiss her and distract from her getting there. The puppies are so infuriatingly annoying.
Their voices, the way they talk, was so high-pitched, screechy, and annoying. I wanted to gouge my eyes out. And Miss Roberts is the worst sister ever. She's a terrible guardian. And the only reason they are on this trip to the plot is for Chelsea's dance recital. And they don't even make it to Chelsea's dance recital because Barbara Roberts is so caught up about these fucking puppies. And they're like, we gotta find these fucking puppies. Meanwhile, the puppies are like not even running away. They're just
No,
chilling
there's
in
no
RV.
stakes. They're fine. Like, the puppies, we cut to them like as Barbie and her sisters are looking for them, and they're just chilling. And Barbie and her sisters, again, like, the only stakes are Chelsea's recital, but it's completely like self-made. So this movie is just like a lot of hot garbage.
I gave it -10.
2017's Barbie video game hero. My guilty pleasure. I love this movie so much. I know it's not good. I know you hate the product placement. I know you hate like the characters. I found like the art style switching, the emoji virus so relevant, so cultural critique. Just Dance, they like beat the villain through the power of Just Dance. Crazy. Loved it. Barbie is a computer coder person. Amazing. It was just fun. As a gamer, I just found it really fun. I felt like I was playing a game because it was like in the video game, and I was like, this is fun.
Yeah, well, I thought it was dog shit. It made me feel like the villain of the story was Just Dance.
Just
the
Dance was the
song-
savior.
The song was so bad. It was so not good. There was
But
like
it was
barking.
funny.
There was barking. It was like if 100 decks decided to be kid friendly and decided, you know what, we're gonna make Barbie movie music. And it wasn't good.
Okay. That's fine. I gave it a gamer girl out of 10.
I gave it a game over.
We're at our last movie.
No way.
We are. Barbie Dolphin Magic, not to be confused with Barbie and a Mermaid Tale. I don't know if that's confusing to anyone else, but I always get them mixed up.
I do too. Don't worry.
This movie's good.
This movie's good. I loved it. I liked how Barbie was a lesbian and Ken was a marine biologist.
The lesbian subtext of this movie is palpable. There's a whole scene where Barbie and the like mermaid are in a cove alone, and she's teaching Barbie how to like swim like the mermaids do, and there's a lot of touching and there's a lot of getting all real close, and I'm
they
like,
get like deep and close. They're like, let me teach you everything there is to be like a mermaid.
it's gay.
It's
It's
so gay.
just so
And-
clearly gay.
And at the end, like she goes away with the dolphins, whatever, lesbian, and Barbie was gifted the seashell, and she's been like putting it in the water, like every day since she's been there in hopes of like seeing her. And then her last day, she comes to visit, and she's like, I was only able to get back here because every day you put the shell in water, and it sent out a signal for me to know that I was getting closer to you. And oh my God, that.
Gay rights.
Gay rights.
My anaconda don't want none unless you got buns, hun.
We've reached the end of this review session.
Oh my God, we have.
It only took us about 2 hours that I'm gonna have to try and condense down into like 20 minutes probably.
That's not gonna happen, babes. We've watched up to 37 Barbie movies. This has been great. I can't believe we watched so many Barbie movies.
And we'll probably continue to watch because we are now bound to the cinematic universe until the day we die.
This is kind of my Horcrux. Not to, talk about Harry Potter in 2020 like a fucking millennial, but a part of my soul is definitely a part of the spreadsheet we've made.
I mean, I bought a shirt. You don't just buy shirts of things you casually are invested in. Thank you for joining us. I hope that this helps you decide which Barbie movies are worth your time. Well, goodbye.
It's like I just single-handedly annihilated, every rap bitch in the building. Like.